Please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to regularly receive updates about the videos I post. Hello and welcome friends to this next video in this series of digitization in manufacturing. If you have watched the first video, I talked about the positive impacts and the financial benefits of using IoT in manufacturing. And friends, this is the most important reason why every company today is implementing digitalization in their factories. And many companies are also forming dedicated teams for taking on these digital projects, and hence this has become one of the most demanding skills in the industry. So, one of the most important steps in implementation of these digitalization projects is to be able to integrate the machine or process data, or rather read the data from machines onto a server where it can be analyzed. This is the most fundamental step, since once you have the data, only then you can perform advanced analytics and predictions to derive the complete advantage of digital. So now the question is, how can this system integration be done? How can all the machines communicate with each other, and how can we have all the data onto a central platform? So we are going to answer that in this video, but let's spend some time to understand the traditional connectivity setup. So I'll talk about this briefly, but if you want to understand the details, you can watch another video on my channel, which is on PLC and SCADA, and the link flashing on top. So coming back, just give a recap. So in traditional connectivity, you have all the sensors, and there are different devices which communicate using protocols such as Profibus, Profinet, Ethernet, HART, Modbus, and many more. So all these sensors and devices are communicating with this PLC, and the PLC sends all this data to a SCADA server, or also known as connectivity server. Now the protocols which are generally used are OPC, and also there can be some proprietary protocols created by some OEMs. And then this server is connected through an Ethernet to PCs or HMI stations, which the operators use to control and monitor the process. In some cases, the HMIs also directly communicate with the PLC, but just to keep the architecture simple for explanation purposes, I have shown this architecture, and this is the most commonly used. Now let us look at some of the features of this traditional system, and also in this process, let's understand what are some of the challenges with this traditional system. OT data means operational technology data. It means the data that is coming in from sensors and devices on the field. These are located on HMI systems and processed in the local server and HMI itself. Now, firstly, the HMIs, the SCADA server systems, or PCS, has very limited analysis features, and also these are located in local servers. So every machine PLC will have a server, and these will be decentralized in nature. So in a way, there is a lack of a central platform where all the machine and process performance can be monitored and analyzed for deviations. So what happens in manufacturing setups, especially in discrete industries, the different processes are discrete and isolated from each other, kind of decentralized. So maintenance in charge or managers don't have a central platform where they can monitor how all the machines have been operating. There is no single platform from where you can have a look at how all the machine is performing, how all the process parameters are. You need to go to individual machines and then have a look at those parameters, or generally it is done by operators who are dedicated there on the machines to kind of monitor the operating parameters. Third point is, as I said, there is a limited option for data analysis. You cannot perform analysis like correlation analysis between the different parameters to study the impact on your output product, or for example, you also cannot perform Pareto analysis and similar other features. So if you have many similar machines across the shop floor, let's say there are 5 CNC machines of similar make and model. So at times it might make sense to do a benchmarking of how much the energy consumption of different machines is, how much is the specific energy consumption per unit of product that is being produced. So So such comparisons cannot be done if you don't have a centralized data. And then the last point is data for KPIs and reports are recorded manually in logbooks or Excels. This is a common view across all the factories if you have visited. So operators keep these logbooks in which they enter the production details, the downtime details, and whatever loss has been occurring in the system. Now, of course, these manual methods of data capturing are firstly inaccurate, and there are a lot of inconsistencies in the data being recorded. And then someone has to again key all those data in Excel files, which is a humongous task. Now, all these can be automated. You don't need to have dedicated resources in order to key in those details in Excel and record those data in logbooks. You can automatically extract data from PLCs and these processes and have these as reports. So with IoT coming in, we can very easily eliminate all of this manual work, and then of course machines can directly send this data. And with analytics capabilities, continuous data coming in from machine PLCs and sensors can be analyzed to predict if something is going to go wrong with the equipment, process, or product. So now the question is how this traditional connectivity setup has changed with IoT coming in, and how can this data from machine PLCs and sensors be integrated onto a central platform. So now what we see on the screen is the architecture that is being followed with IoT gateways, which is a very important enabler for all these digitalization projects. So industrial IoT gateway is a device which enables connectivity of sensors, devices, controllers, or PLCs to the IT infrastructure. So there are two sides to the IoT gateway as you see on screen. The below part is the OT side, which is operational technology, which consists of PLCs, sensors, remotes, and inputs and outputs. And then you have the IT side, where you have the IT infrastructure, where you have the server and cloud. So let's understand this step by step, how this IoT gateway is changing the traditional setup. So at a field level, we have different PLCs which are controlling different machines, and then you might also need to place some additional sensors in order to capture the machine data which is not being captured by the PLC. This can be used for making predictions or processing or for recording or monitoring the output quality of the product. And then there can be some remote IOs also which are in far off locations, which can be communicated using GPRS. And then of course there can be many field protocols as well. Now gateway is a device which has connectivity feature with all these protocols. So here I have only written Modbus, Profibus, serial, and input outputs, but there are gateways with dedicated features to communicate with almost all the protocols. So that is where the IoT gateway selection comes in. You need to select IoT gateway as per your requirement. But that is one of the key features of gateways, that they can communicate with almost all the field protocols. And then in this IoT gateway it's just like a small computer which houses some applications. There are applications which help you in data acquisition. There are libraries defined which can directly communicate using Modbus protocol or Profibus protocol or any other protocol. And then also there is an application which can directly communicate with the cloud to be able to, so whatever data the gateway is receiving from the field, there are applications so that it can directly publish it onto the cloud using MQTT protocol. You can go on YouTube and search more details about the MQTT protocol. But very briefly speaking, MQTT is a protocol which is a very lightweight messaging protocol, and it is very much widely used for industry 4.0 and IoT. So when you say IoT, most people and industries prefer MQTT protocol because it's very lightweight. And then the gateway also has REST APIs with which you can directly communicate to any cloud platform, be it Azure, be it Amazon AWS, or any other. At the same time, this IoT gateway can also maintain communication with your SCADA systems. So this is a kind of a central interface which is seamlessly communicating with your field, cloud, and your SCADA systems also using Modbus. And if at all there is some data that is being entered in your SCADA system, for example, the recipe or some parameters operator entered by the operator, so those parameters also can be captured by this IoT gateway and then sent to a cloud, which is from where you can have a central platform. Now, having understood how an IoT gateway works, now the question is how can we select an IoT gateway? When you go about or take a decision about using an IoT gateway, there are multiple gateways out there in the market, and you might end up getting confused on how do you select the most or the most optimum gateway for your purpose. So here in this slide, some I have four important characteristics which you can use in order to evaluate all the IoT gateways that are available in the market. So this you can understand it as a reference or guide for proper selection of the gateways. The first important aspect is the connectivity features that the gateway has. So when I say connectivity features, you should always look at what are the communication protocols that you need both on the OT side as well as IT side, because one single gateway might not be capable of communicating with all the protocols in the world. So depending on your application, depending on your machine, you might choose a gateway which serves your purpose. The second aspect is wireless connectivity. So you should also think whether you need your IoT gateway to communicate wirelessly or using wired mediums. So when I say wireless, there are gateways available which can communicate using 4G, Bluetooth, or Wi-Fi. So in cases where you have street lights or devices which are spread across geographical area, at those times it makes sense to use a gateway using 4G capabilities where you can easily communicate using GPRS. But in manufacturing setups in closed environments, Wi-Fi can be used or even wired Ethernet can be used to communicate with IoT gateways. Third aspect is types and numbers of inputs and outputs. So in addition to PLCs, if you need to communicate with sensors also, then you should think about the number of inputs and outputs that you might have on the field and accordingly match your requirements with the gateway features that is available. So there are different types of gateways offering analog input modules, digital input modules, or output modules. So that is also an aspect that you should consider. Also, there are gateways which have dedicated ports for taking inputs from camera feeds. So depending on whatever the requirement is, this is also an aspect that you should always consider. And then the last point in the connectivity feature to consider is what kind of output file format do you want the gateway to throw. So when we talk about the IoT gateway communicating with the cloud or sending data to the cloud, so or if you want the IoT gateway to communicate with a custom built application or an IT application, so the interface file format should be of which type, whether you want it in XML, JSON, CSV. So that is another thing that you should evaluate. Now coming to the second feature or characteristic is processing capability. You should always check the processor specifications in terms of what is the processing speed, how much is the RAM, and how much is the internal memory. Now, internal memory is very important aspect in when you are deciding IoT gateways, because you need to think what is the application size that you want to run in the IoT gateway and how much the data will be coming in. So accordingly, you need to select the processor of the IoT gateway, or rather, you should select IoT gateway with the suitable processor which suits your requirements. If you have a lot of if you have a big application and a lot of inputs outputs coming in, then a low configuration or that IoT gateway having low internal memory wouldn't suffice your purpose, right? So hence this is also an important aspect that you should consider. Third is ease of use. I think this is also one of the most important aspects, how comfortable you are with the configuration of that particular gateway, how easy it is to configure. So in this, many gateways have configuration methods. For example, many offer graphical user interface support, and many offer web-based configuration methods, and many of the gateways can also be configured using some dedicated languages. For example, it may be using command prompt or console languages, Debian or programming languages. So these are the different ways in which an IoT gateway can be configured. So depending on what configuration method you are comfortable with, you should choose a gateway. The second aspect is what is the operating system that the gateway runs. So there are gateways having operating system as Windows, Linux, and Debian. So depending on your comfort and the pricing, you can choose the appropriate operating system. The third aspect is application development. So if you want to run applications in the IoT gateway, or you want to develop certain applications or logics in the IoT gateway, then what languages are you comfortable with? That is another important thing to consider. If you don't know coding, then it might not make sense to have a gateway with Debian operating system and which supports maybe Java or some other languages only. And then second thing in application development is you should always check what are the kind of resources available out there in the on the internet or with the support services that the OEM has to offer, and then how wide is the community of the IoT gateway itself. For example, Moksha has a wide user base and it has a big support community. So if you want any application, you might go to GitHub and then find the appropriate applications. The last aspect is certifications for industrial usage. The gateway that you are procuring should have appropriate certifications, and also the ingress protection level, whether it is suitable for industrial use or not. So such aspects you should check. And then CUL or equivalent safety certification. These are some of the very basic certifications that one must have if you intend to use the gateways in manufacturing setups. So here there are a list of popular IoT gateways that are being used in the industry. Moksha, Advantech, Siemens, Avnet, Cisco, Dell. There are many, much more, but these are some of the most widely used and the ones having most useful features. But if you ask for a personal opinion, in my perspective, Moksha and Gateway are the most widely used gateways and the most useful gateways in my perspective. It's only my personal opinion because I have seen the features of these devices and I have personally used them in a lot of projects. And what I have seen is the why these two gateway devices are my favorite is because it supports wide variety of connectivity features. It has a wide variety of protocol converters available, so you can convert any protocol to any protocol using these gateways. And then they are easy to configure. It has graphical user interface, so I'm not very keen on unnecessarily programming or writing codes. So Moksha in that case or Advantech is very user friendly. You have a web user interface where you can configure your inputs and outputs and also do your cloud configurations using a web interface, GUI interface only. And then last aspect is from a affordability perspective. So these are not priced very high, but these are very competitively priced, I would say. So these are very affordable. So let us now apply what we have learned so far through a case study. So the case in point here is we have a CNC machine shop, and for just simple explanation purposes, here in the diagram we have shown only two CNC machines, and there are dedicated PLCs for each CNC machine. The PLC 1 for CNC machine 1 and CNC machine 2 has machine PLC 2. And then the problem statement is very much in line with the challenges that we talked about in the starting of the video. But again, just to reiterate, the problems what the manager of this factory is facing. A lot of time is being spent in manually recording the availability and overall equipment effectiveness, that is OEE of the machines. And then what the manager is saying that the manual recording in logbooks are subject to manual errors and inconsistencies. And thirdly, there is a lack of accurate data for analysis of parameters. So managers generally create reports and do regular analysis for regular improvements. So he also wants to have a daily view of daily manpower productivity. He wants to optimize the lifetime of the cutting tool. And right now, since there is no continuous data capturing, there is no accurate way of knowing how much is the lifetime, or how much uh, work can each cutting tool do, and what is the ideal time to change the cutting tool. It's all based on experience, right? So improvement initiatives might be a bit difficult to plan without having accurate data. So coming back to the problem, now the challenge here is, of course, the problems that we discussed, but the first step to meet his requirements is to have the accurate data. And for this, we want to integrate the data that is being recorded in the machine PLCs, and we want to bring this data onto a single platform. So we want to integrate all the CNC machines onto a single platform where we can create applications to have the dashboards, KPI dashboards, where the manager will have a single view of how all the machines have been performing, and he will also have a view of the major KPIs like OE, manpower productivity, etc. So as we see on screen, the first PLC has a serial port which supports RS-485 communication and also Modbus RTU communication, while the second PLC type supports Ethernet port. So how do we integrate data from both these machines? So as I said, IoT Gateway will be a big help for meeting such problem statements. And this is a gateway which supports Modbus RTU protocol and Modbus TCP protocol. So using these two different protocols, the data can be read, and then finally this converts it into an MQTT protocol, and the hardware layer is Ethernet. And the platform which gathers data from multiple machines, here I have only shown two machines for explanation purposes, but it can be 10, 15, 20 machines. So the single platform that is there can be an on-prem server, which is in the factory itself, or it can be on the cloud deployment as well. So there are two options. So you can have data from multiple machines coming in into the IoT gateway, and this IoT gateway will be sending data to your server. Now this server will also be connected to tablets, which are given to the operators, and these operators have different logins. So different operators will be having different logins and for different machines. So with this way, in this way, you are able to capture all the 4M parameters, which is man, machine, material, and method. And as in the problem statement we saw, we want to calculate the daily manpower productivity, or if you also want to calculate operator-wise productivity, how much has been the productivity of operator A vis-a-vis operator B, that is also possible. How? So the operator who is running the machine has a login here. So the login information of the operator or the operator name comes to this server. And then what is the quantity or volume that is being produced per hour? That data is also getting captured in this server. So you simply divide, and then you arrive at the daily manpower productivity. Similar way, you can calculate other parameters also. For example, lifetime of the cutting tool, how much has been the availability of the individual machines, how much has been the setup time and breakdown time. So now we have seen that there are a lot of features that the IoT gateways has to offer. So what the traditional PLC manufacturers have done, they have also incorporated all these features in the PLC itself. So you might argue that since we already have a PLC in the traditional architecture, why do we need an additional IoT gateway? Can we not use the same PLC to get the data, and then can the PLC not directly communicate with the cloud? So the answer is yes, if your PLC has those capabilities, and hence to meet this purpose, many manufacturers like ABB, Siemens, Hitachi have come up with PLCs which are able to communicate with OT as well as IT. So as you see, for illustration purposes, I have only shown ABB and Hitachi architectures. So AC500 PLC again is able to communicate with all the OT devices, and then it can directly communicate with the IT world also, for example, the databases, and then send information to the cloud using MQTT protocol. Hitachi also has a very similar architecture with the PLC. So you have all the OT devices here in the field network, and then you have this PLC which can directly send data to a cloud system. And then now Siemens has also come up with the SY1500 PLC series, which can directly communicate over MQTT. So MQTT is a very popular protocol for IoT-based communication. So all these PLCs now have features where MQTT protocol can be used to send out this information directly to the cloud. Now we have seen two broad types of architectures. One is using IoT gateway and the other is using PLCs itself. So it completely depends on the project and varies from project to project and depends on what kind of sensors and the quantity of sensors that you want to integrate. So a cost benefit analysis and desired feature comparison must be done. So these are the two very crucial steps if you want to decide which architecture to go for, whether you should use an IoT gateway or a PLC having a gateway features itself. So you should always do a cost benefit analysis using both the features, and whichever turns out to be the affordable one, you might end up choosing that. And also desired feature comparison should be done in terms of what are all the protocols that you have on the field and what kind of communication you need to have on cloud, whether you need an on cloud connectivity or on prem is sufficient. So those kind of feature comparisons should be done. And once you have uh, two options with all your desired features, the next step is to do a cost benefit analysis, and that's how we should arrive at an appropriate decision. However, in my experience, when you have a large scale project, then PLC with gateway features turns out to be more affordable. While when you have smaller scale projects with limited number of systems and limited number of IOs, in such cases, gateways have turned out to be the most affordable choice. So that's this is my experience, but then I would suggest you to do a cost benefit analysis for every project that you take up. So that's all in this. If you have any questions, feel free to post it in comments. And I hope the video was useful to you. And if you want to understand any more aspects on digitization or how it is being used in the industry, just post your comments and I'll answer them. And if possible, if there are sufficient number of requests, I'll also create another video. So thank you for watching.